my beautiful light bearers. Welcome to Whispers of Hope, a space where we talk real stories, real struggles, and real strength. And so today we have a guest with us, someone whose journey has both been inspiring and deeply human, someone who has gone through life's toughest challenges and have got courage to rise above it. And so please join me in welcoming Nancy Sunday Curry, a woman of resilience, a woman of hope, and a woman of transformation. Thanks for coming to our program today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you introduce yourself to our listeners and tell us a bit about your background?
Okay. I'm Sunday Nancy Curry from Plateau State, Basa local government. I am the seventh. We are 7 in number, and we lost our dad around 2011. And I'm the last, but yet the first graduate.
Wow. The last and yet the first graduate?
Yes.
Wow. Have you ever imagined as a young girl that one day you'll be the first out of your family to be the graduate?
Well, not to use the word imagine. I've always loved school. I wouldn't say that is the reason why I ended up graduating first, but I've always loved school. To me, it was indeed an honor.
Wow. Was there a specific moment or someone who kept encouraging you to keep pushing forward?
Yes, there are. There are people that, would I say, tried to discourage me, but their discouragement were more of a push-up to me, while there are so many others that were indeed of good courage to me. They were indeed of good example and were trying their best to see that indeed I came out the way I did. So many, for example, I actually grew up with my cousin. I lived with her for almost 20 years,
Wow.
18 years to be precise.
Wow.
And growing up with her, she always reminded me that my sisters did not go to school. They ended up getting married out of wedlock, having kids out of wedlock. And I don't know what she thought she was doing, but that breaking she was breaking me was more of a push-up for me.
Wow.
I kept telling myself, if they didn't do it, I was going to do it. And do you know that I wrote WAEC and NECO to 9 times?
Wow. 9 times WAEC.
Yes.
This is something else.
But I never failed JAM.
Wow.
That is to tell you that it was actually beyond just the physical. Because I know that without my JAM, I could actually apply for a college or whatever. But to make it worse and frustrate me the more, I didn't have a WAEC or a NECO. I kept applying and reapplying.
That must be a lot.
Yeah, there are days I knelt in the room and I told God, God, if you are not going to fix this. I think that was when I was doing remedials. When I applied remedials, and one of the days, remedials, you have to have your O-level too. You have to pass your JAM. You have to also pass remedials exams. And I think at that point, I started feeling like I wasn't good enough. Like I had to tag along with other people to be able to pass. And then after the first exams, we have 2 semesters. After the first exams, I knelt in the room and I told God, if you know that I am not going to pass these exams or not going to make these papers this time around, it's better you just take me before the resumption of the second semester. And when second semester resumed and I didn't die, I just knew, okay, you're going to pass it this time around.
Wow. But then I want to ask, if you said you wrote WAEC up to 9 times, and yet you wrote JAM, right? Because if you're going to do remedials, you must have gone through JAM. Is it that even though you keep feeling like the WAEC, you keep writing it, rewriting it, you keep writing your JAM exams also alongside?
Yeah.
Wow. That's to say, you didn't see your WAEC result, but you were still going to write JAM.
Yes, and I was passing my JAM.
Wow. This is something else. I would like to know along the way where what was some of your toughest obstacles, that you faced both financially, emotionally, and spiritually? Because this is a whole lot, I must confess, with what you just said.
It is actually a whole lot. Psychologically, I was becoming unstable. I remember telling you, I began to feel like I could not do anything. I started feeling like I was daft. But God did not let me be. He didn't just leave me alone. Maybe if he had allowed me to also be failing jam alongside failing the other ones, maybe it would have been worse. But he didn't let that happen. And then when I started tagging along with others during remedials, thinking they were going to be of help to me, I couldn't even sit down to write exams for myself. I felt like I needed someone. I needed to copy from someone. Like one of those O levels I wrote, I think the eighth time. I remember copying so much, but you know what God did to me? He came out with somebody's name.
Wow.
I had the exams number, but when we tried to check the result, it was coming out with somebody's name.
This is ridiculous. Wow. How were you able to come out of it emotionally and both spiritually?
Well,
Because this is like something you've gone through in life that I feel it will be very difficult for you to come out of it, even though you have achieved what you wanted. But alongside, even though you said the struggles were there, but that emotional, how do you feel about it?
well, at some point, I was beginning to feel ashamed to even carry myself and say, I wrote this exam. Like then, when I was going into 100 level, that was when my mates were graduating. I began to feel ashamed and began to feel less human, like I'm daft and I shouldn't even think of comparing myself with others. But God did not just let me be. He was always there, consistently always there, connecting me with one person or the other that would always remind me that it is worth it. So don't give up.
Okay, you said something about you almost gave up at some point, but I want to know what or who helped in giving you that hope, keeping your fire burning, like giving you that hope to be alive, know that you can cross this even with all you're seeing.
Well, I have people like Pastor Lawrence, Pastor Larry, and so many other people. Some I don't even know from anywhere. I just met them at some point and they told me, you can do this. I don't know you, but this is what I'm seeing about you. I really want to thank God for them because even after I got the admission and getting the admission, I got it with UJ, I still got it with JAM at the same time. And then after getting the admission with the struggles and all, I remember when my department was saying, if you fail one course, you're going to repeat a whole year until you're able to pass. And to the glory of God, he didn't let that happen to me because I remember going through depression. Like, I wasn't this thin. I was quite chubby, really chubby.
I can imagine.
But with all of that, he didn't let that happen to me. And then concluding, getting to the end of it, our first professional exams, I failed it again. I cried my eyes out. Like, I don't even know if thinking of suicide was just it, but I just couldn't place a finger. But I felt helpless. And then I remember meeting Pastor Lawrence and I was crying. And he told me, why are you crying? It's going to pass too. This is just a phase. You cannot give up now. And then I didn't. Funny enough, when the exams was to be given to us, after we waited a whole year again, I did so well. I even finished before time. This was the same exams I wrote. I was so confused. I couldn't really do anything. If confusion was a person, I was that person that day. But when we were to write it again, it was amazing. Wow. I finished before time and to the glory of God, I passed.
Okay, you mentioned that it was by the help of God. Can you share how your faith carried you through those difficult seasons? Aside from having a man of God that kept telling you it will be successful and all.
Well, several times I felt like giving up. And then I remember where he brought me from. And I told myself, if you could bring me this far, this is not too much for him to handle.
And can I ask, what course did you actually study?
Well, I read medical laboratory science.
Wow, that's impressive. Was there a time that things seems to be impossible and yet God showed a way surprisingly to you? Can you share something?
So many times. Getting to 500 level, I had already left my cousin's house. My school fees was war. I remember writing our first semester exams and I didn't have my school fees. I had not, and then school fees was already 130,000. Just school fees, not even other registrations. And so it was hell. I got worried, I was scared, but God came through. He used someone that I least expected was going to be able to do that. And the person was calling me to apologize for not reaching out as at when do you born. The person came through. God used the person to actually settle my school fees. This was the same me that they told, we'll see how you will graduate.
Wow.
We'll see who is going to pay your school fees. Is it your poor tailor sister that is going to? Well, God did.
We thank God for that. It's really a touching story. And how did prayer or your personal relationship with God influence your choices and your endurance?
All I can say is God did. He always came through.
Looking back, what will you say was what will you say was God's biggest lesson or message to you through your journey?
Well, I would say if he hasn't given up on you, why would you give up?
How did it feel the day you finally graduated, being the first to do so among 7 children?
It was amazing, even though I felt left out at some point when I saw other people having their family members around. Mine could not make it because of the distance. And my mom has been ill, so she couldn't go through the stress. But to the glory of God, he still used our pastor and his entire family. They came around. I didn't know, actually. It was more of a surprise. They actually took pictures and made videos, and I wasn't even aware. Only for me to come upstairs and then meet them waiting for me with an amazing, beautiful cake, congratulating me and all. It was indeed amazing.
What does hope mean to you now after everything you've been through?
I would say again, don't give up. If he hasn't given up on you, you have no reason to give up. Person may give up, now you fuck up.
Now for couple. I like that. I like that statement. Anyone we want give up, now him for couple, because God is still writing people's story.
If he's not done with you.
Yes. I believe that strongly. And how has your story impacted your siblings, your family, or even people around you?
Well, to the glory of God, my elder sister, whom they said, is it your tailor sister that is going to pay your school fees, has gone back to school. Yeah, she has gone back to school. She's a mother of 4.
Wow.
And she has gone back to school.
Wow, that's impressive. That's to say your story has really impacted your siblings. And what are some dreams or goals you are pursuing now that you have reached this level?
Well, I am not done yet. He's not done with me yet. So we're still pushing till I see everyone else. If they made it look like going to school was the goal, even if my other siblings will not go, my nieces and nephews must go to school.
That's good. If someone listening right now feels hopeless, maybe struggling with poverty, rejection, or setback, what message will you give them?
Well, poverty, whatever limitation is not it. That is not the end of it. You cannot give up because of your condition. You can still go out there and work. And there are so many organizations out there that are ready and willing to sponsor. Even when you don't see, keep pushing, keep pressing on. Don't be lazy. Do something.
If your story were a title or a phrase, what will you call it?
I am a definition of favor and mercy.
Wow, I love that. Finally, how can listeners stay encouraged and keep their faith strong even when life doesn't make sense?
Well, the truth is, it doesn't have to make sense. As long as you know the one who is in charge of it, it doesn't really have to make sense to you. Just trust him, as long as he's the one leading the way.
Wow, what a powerful story. I believe someone listening out there has been reminded that with God, nothing is impossible. Our guest has shared her story, and her story has made us understand that with faith, hard work, and hope, we can rewrite our story. Thanks for having us today, for sharing your light with us on our show today. And to our listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to share this podcast to anyone out there that needs to be encouraged. God is still in our story. So next time, keep hoping, keep believing, and don't forget, God is still writing our story. Bye.